Hey there YouTube lovers, my name is BB8 and today I thought I would do a different kind of ranking since we are nearly at the 10th anniversary of the Game Awards, so I thought I would rank every single game that has won Game of the Year previously. This ranking list does not include Baldur's Gate 3 because I still need to play it. And the only reason Baldur's Gate 3 isn't here is because, I still need to get a physical copy of it. But the reason I was persuaded to do a Game of the Year winner ranking is because I thought it would be interesting to look back at all of the games that have won Game of the Year previously. But considering that this has been going on since 2014, only 9, excluding Baldur's Gate 3, have only made the list. But how would I rank every Game of the Year winner? You're about to find out. So, without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? Number 9, The Last of Us Part 2. I feel like people already saw this placement coming, given that my experience with The Last of Us Part 2, but if I'm being honest about this game, it doesn't look that bad visually. I just think it isn't a good sequel to the 2013 predecessor, especially with the amount of character assassination that happens here, especially since Abby is probably my least favourite character out of the whole PlayStation Studios catalogue, who we were forced to play as, by the way, made the game difficult to sit through. And out of every Game of the Year nominee from 2020, The Last of Us Part 2, the worst of the nominees from that year, won the award, and in my opinion it should have gone to either Animal Crossing, Ghost of Tsushima, or Doom Eternal. And you know what? I am tolerant to other people's opinions. I do not care if someone ranks this game as the best game of 2020, and if you want to make your own video sharing your non-controversy related opinion on why you think The Last of Us Part 2 is good, and I think that your reasoning is good enough, I will promote it in the community section. And until then, I'm gonna go back to not talking about this game at all, because I've already reviewed it and I don't like it. And I don't think I need to bring up The Last of Us Part 2 on my channel for a while now. Number 8. Dragon Age Inquisition. Considering this was the first Game of the Year winner to be handed out, I thought that this game was pretty average. The world building and the character interactions, such as Cassandra and Iron Bull, were strong, but the gameplay itself just feels like a chore, especially since the open world feels empty and the quests get repetitive, especially since the quests barely had rewards at the end at all. The story did have some moments that stood out, but in general, it didn't hit the mark with me. And unfortunately, Corypheus sucked as a villain. The pacing was disjointed, and the writing was just take it or leave it, with a few standout moments. But unfortunately, Dragon Age Inquisition is a prime example of the weakest nominee taking home the Game of the Year award, especially since games like Bayonetta 2, Dark Souls 2, Hearthstone, or Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor could have taken home that award instead. But no, the worst nominee for Game of the Year from 2014 took home that award, and unfortunately, I had an underwhelming experience with Dragon Age as a franchise, and that is why the recently released Dragon Age The Veilguard I'm skipping off entirely. Number 7, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Yet again, 2019 was another year where the weakest nominee gets the Game of the Year winner. And if there's one thing that 2014, 2019, and 2020 all had in common at the Game Awards, is that the weakest nominee took home the award. I mean, it was an alright game, but not on the heights of something like Dark Souls or Elden Ring. I'll admit that Sekiro does look good visually, since the environments are well done, capturing the essence of the Sengoku era of Japan, but I just feel like Ghost of Tsushima was the way better game in my opinion. It's not a game that hit with me that well, and it does have a rewarding combat system for the players who get used to it, but the combat feels more punishing than fun. The narrative wasn't terrible, I just didn't get as emotionally invested as the other Game of the Year winners, and I couldn't really get into the characters either. And for me, a Game of the Year winner should be more compelling to play, but unfortunately, Sekiro fell short for me, and that's why 2019 should have been Death Stranding or Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, despite it releasing in 2018. And while I do respect the design and cultural effort put into Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, unfortunately, it's not a game that hit with me strongly as other Game of the Year winners. It's an okay game, but not Game of the Year worthy. Number 6, It Takes Two. I understand that this game was designed with multiplayer in mind, but It Takes Two wasn't really a game designed for me, since I'm leaned more towards solo play in some experiences, and making multiplayer mandatory didn't really help with the game at all. I can't deny that it's a creative game, but it does have issues with its game design choices, since the game did at times feel like prioritized gimmickry over the gameplay itself, and some mechanics introduced were clever, but I feel like were underutilized. I didn't mind the story, since it revolved around two parents working through their troubled relationship, but in some areas in the execution, such as the tone and the pacing, made it feel uneven, and the character interactions felt forced, which made it difficult for me to get into It Takes Two compared to other Game of the Year winners. It's a 7 out of 10 game, but not a game that should have been nominated for Game of the Year. It's not a bad game, I just don't see it as like a certified gold Game of the Year winner. But compared to number 5, It Takes Two does have a big gap, and in my opinion, the Game of the Year winner should have gone to either Metroid Dread or Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. Number 5, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Like with Elden Ring, my final opinion on the game has not fully formed yet, but I can definitely see why this is regarded as one of the greatest non-Japanese RPGs to ever exist. The open world is well designed, blending in the visuals with a sense of history and realism, and the story is layered but powerful, with the choices that carry weight to the story as well as the consequences that are faced. The characters stand out as memorable and well developed, especially Geralt, who is one of the most compelling non-Japanese RPG protagonists. The side quests in the game do add depth to the storytelling as well, and the combat system, while it doesn't bring it to new heights, it made it more compelling thanks to the alchemy system, which does add depth to the combat system a bit further. And from what I've experienced from The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt so far, the story is masterclass, which definitely lives up to the praise, and even if I haven't finished the story yet, I can definitely say that 2015 was a great year for Game of the Year nominees, with Bloodborne, Fallout 4, Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, and Super Mario Maker. And it's safe to say, we've not had a bad nominee from 2015, and The Witcher 3 is no exception. Number 4, God of War 2018. While I do prefer Ragnarok, God of War 2018 remains one of my favourites from PlayStation Studios. Not just from the PlayStation 4 era, but PlayStation as a whole. Its masterclass storytelling is what makes the game stand out to me, providing a story that's deep and reinvents Kratos as a character in comparison to the Greek mythology trilogy from the PlayStation 2. The game balances his brutal past with a more compelling story as he guides his son Atreus in a Norse mythologic world. The relationship between Kratos and Atreus is literally what gives the game heart, portraying an evolving bond as the story progresses. This is also complemented by the phenomenal visuals, the great world building, and a really fun combat system, and I would even go as far to say that the Leviathan Axe is one of my favourite weapons in gaming besides the Master Sword from The Legend of Zelda. And not only does God of War 2018 reinvent God of War as a series, but is a standout from the PS4 era. Number 3, Elden Ring. While my opinion isn't final on Elden Ring, since I am still playing it after I recently purchased it on a Black Friday sale, I could definitely see why people would rate Elden Ring very high. The open world design is absolutely great. I love the sense of freedom that this game gives to the players, such as creating your own character with any role that you choose, which I chose Samurai when playing the game, which makes it more unpredictable and full of mysteries to solve and bosses to fight. And I feel like this could be one of the best Dark Souls games that I've played to date. And with that being said, as much as I'm enjoying my experience with Elden Ring, my opinion is not final. But Elden Ring is a brilliant game so far, deserving a spot in the top 5. And while I was rooting for God of War Ragnarok back in 2022, I can definitely see why Elden Ring got wide praise. And while I haven't quite mastered the combat system yet, I wasn't warned that Elden Ring would be this great. Number 2, Overwatch. Probably the most controversial placement on this list, but for me, Overwatch was a perfect 10 out of 10 shooting game. It stands out as my favourite shooting game of all time, thanks to its incredible cast of heroes to play as, with each hero bringing unique personalities, compelling designs, and strong abilities. The tactical gameplay is another reason why Overwatch stands out to me in the shooting game market. And the theme of teamwork and strategy is what sets it apart from other shooters on the market, with every match feeling dynamic with the need to adapt to different situations by changing heroes, and that's what Overwatch was for me. An underrated shooting game, but was great despite only lasting until 2022 in favour for Overwatch 2, which wasn't as good as the original Overwatch, but was still enjoyable. Even though the game doesn't directly present its lore through matches, I love how Blizzard presents its engaging lore through animated shorts, comics, and more. And with this method of storytelling allowing me to connect with the characters a bit further, which is why I stuck around with Overwatch. Number 1. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. The reason Breath of the Wild sits at number 1 is because not only is it the greatest game of 2017, but it's the second greatest game ever made, behind its sequel, Tears of the Kingdom. And this game reinvented what an open world experience could do, offering a sense of freedom when it comes to exploration, experimentation, and to solve puzzles in any way that you desire. The open world of Hyrule is phenomenal with its design, offering a great balance between cel-shaded visuals and locations from past Zelda games. And the physics system is what made Breath of the Wild stand out from other Zelda games, allowing players to get creative with how puzzles are solved, such as magnetic powers which can manipulate objects, freezing objects to launch them long distance, and traversing over water by creating ice blocks. And the story and progression is different from other Zelda games because it can allow you to go around Hyrule in your preferred order, and the players are free to run straight to Calamity Ganon if they wanted to. And this level of freedom is what makes The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild stand out to me as a game. So guys, what did you think of my Game of the Year winner ranking? And I want to hear from you. Who do you think this year's Game of the Year winner will be? And who knows? Maybe in 2025, I'll actually go ahead and rank all the nominees. Which will probably take me forever, but hopefully ranking all the Game of the Year nominees will finally pull off. So, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and turn your notification bell on so you don't miss another video like this one in the future. And I will see you all in a future video. BB8 out.